Hey everybody, Colin here. Sorry I haven't posted too much lately on my YouTube page. I've been helping Mason out, been busy with work and doing stuff. So with that being said, moving forward on this page, some people might have seen that I changed it just back to my original name. Mason and I won't be, for now. We're putting a hold on the video podcast sort of deal that we were doing until things slow down a little bit, and I'm just gonna post a little bit here and there, and whatever he decides to help me out with, and we'll go from there on what we're gonna do, how we're gonna do things. We don't really know how we're going to run this second YouTube page. But I wanted to talk about something that's really been forefront. And I'm actually being careful as I'm doing this here. I don't want to cut myself. Hint, hint. I've got quite a few things on my mind that I've been seeing on YouTube and just all social media platforms around, and it's got me chapped a little bit, to be quite honest. And one of them that's got me chapped is when we talk, especially in the archery industry, the difference between using one of these, one of these, all the flack people get for using one of these, or this style, or do I even want to share the next ones? This one, this style here. For some of you that don't know, that is a Beast titanium broadhead. And then my tried and true that I like, besides the other one, is this one here, the Rage. I have shot them all. I've got over 30 years experience in archery. And people will sit there and say, these suck, or these suck because this is better, or this is better, or this is better than this is better. Well, what can I say? You can sit there and gather all the info you want. Okay, you can gather as much as you want. I'm still gathering. I'm still learning. But I go off of personal experience and what I've seen people have success with. Every single broadhead I've showed you, people are out there having success with them on all sorts of game. From rabbits, deer, turkeys, elk, moose, caribou, African game, you name it. Okay? So, for the longest time, this is what I shot. Grim Reaper. Love them. Absolutely love them. Never had them fail. And when set up right, I've never had issues with blood trails, which is going to bring me to my next point here in a little bit. I've never had issue with blood trails with these. Believe it or not, I've never had an issue with a blood trail using a fixed blade 3-blade head, or a cut on impact fixed head 4-blade. No issues with when it comes to blood trails and everything else. In my 30 some years experience with shooting, hunting deer, and other deer-sized gamed animals. For the most part, I'm just your typical Midwest guy here. Okay. Obviously, a whitetail setup is not going to work for an elk or a moose or anything else. The anatomy's there. That's common general sense. But this will still work on an elk or a moose. So will this. There's one really famous person that this is all he shot, and he took down a lot of big animals using the Rage broadhead. He completed the Grand Slam too. But he's also shot a lot of different broadheads too. But I know when I started following him, this is all he was using. And it was due to his setup. Any of these broadheads that I'm showing you will work. It just depends on your setup. Now, if you're shooting 60 pounds and you want to go elk hunting, no, obviously. You stay the hell away from this. Here's your best friend. Here's your best friend. When it comes to shooting 60 pounds at a larger than deer-sized animal. Could risk it. Is it worth it? That's what you got to ask yourself. Okay? Me, I shoot anywhere between 70 and 80 pounds. I've shot 60 when I had shoulder issues. I'm back up to shooting 70 now. Knock on wood. I can stay there. But I've had no issues when it comes to the broadhead game. Okay? I mean, if somebody wants to shoot this style broadhead, why are we going to give them flack for it? Okay? Especially when they're having success and stuff, or, sorry about that, shooting a Rage, shooting a Schwacker, shooting a Grim Reaper, or any other over-the-top expandable. Why are we going to sit there and trash them and sit there and say, oh, you should have shot this one, should have shot that one? I will tell you right now, it does matter, and then again, it does not matter what is on the front end of your arrow, okay? It depends on your setup, which is your draw length, your draw weight, your arrow weight, and how well your bow is tuned is what it's going to depend upon. Anybody with common sense and owns an archery shop is going to tell you that, okay? Any good archery shop, for that matter. I'm fortunate enough to live within driving distance of a couple of them. But there's this great thing called the internet too. So, but before I get too sidetracked, anyways, I'm seeing a lot of flack going around about people saying, oh, this broadhead's trash because of this and because of that, and yada, yada, yada. And then in the comments, you get the keyboard warriors going, oh, I should have shot a Muzzy, never had issues. Oh, I should have shot Schwacker, should have shot Mega Meats, what, yada, 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 whatever, okay? When I watch those videos and people are complaining about this broadhead, this broadhead, this broadhead, shot placement. You didn't smoke the deer like you say you did. I'm sorry, you didn't. When you're aiming only at the lower 1/3 and that deer moves a little bit, or you're aiming for anything, it's gonna be you're giving yourself a lot more room for error than you are recovering, number one. Number two, yeah, it's good to aim at the heart and everything else. I'm not gonna dismantle that deal. But I've seen deer shot in the heart, gun and bow. I have done it and everything else. Doesn't matter if I'm shooting this or this or this. Blood trails are next to nothing when they're shot in the heart. My dad was using a crossbow, 45-yard shot on his biggest deer to date, and tried and true Muzzy guy. He was an expandable. Now he shoots nothing but fixed blade. Shot one right through the heart. Could see the holes, everything. Blood trail? Crap. I wish I could have the pictures of it, but when you take the heart out, what's pumping the blood out? I'll wait for the comments on that one. What's going to pump the blood out? Because on every heart shot deer I've seen, it's strictly, I mean, walked up straight through, heart not able to be saved or anything, shot. No, I'm not saying there was no blood trail. I'm going to get into that. But what's going to pump out all that blood that's sitting in there? Your best bet is to be shooting something like this that's going to make a bigger hole, or this, or for that matter, even a G5 Mega Meat, and you smoke the heart, and with it, the blood that's left in the body is going to come down and start filling up, and then as the deer slows, the blood trail is going to get way better. But the deer is going to expire within that time frame, and he's going to be laying in a huge pool of blood because it's just dumping out of him because he's right there. I don't understand why we're preaching aiming low on deer. I'm kind of taking for granted on that. I've got a target here. I'm not going to switch the camera around, but it's what I use. It's close enough. In size, it's relevant to a small deer. Okay. But to just give you an idea, yep. It's one of these targets here. Okay. And I've measured, it's a little bit smaller than what an actual deer's is. Okay. But the anatomy is pretty spot on for the most part. Okay. And when we're hitting back here and low and saying I smoked him, that's not good shots. I don't know why we're aiming here. Okay, from about here down. I'm not understanding that. If we're going to go over here, we need to be following that leg up. And you can always see that elbow. Why aren't we aiming right above that little notch then? Why are we aiming behind it? Okay. All your good stuff is actually right up in here. Right here. From where it says here to here, here, and coming back up is roughly where your golden triangle is. Okay. Now I get it. You're going to aim at your golden triangle and stuff, and everybody gets excited, That spot's a little bit bigger, but what about all this goodness back up in here? I've shot so many deer right up in here, coming straight up and playing in this part right here. I can honestly say I've never lost a deer. Doesn't matter if I'm shooting this, all my deer I've seen drop within sight. Okay. So I'm just kind of dumbfounded how we're all wanting to, you know, let me try, there we go. Why we're all kind of down here in this area. I'm not understanding that. Shot placement is everything when it comes to archery. Okay? It's everything. Then most people will tell you, you can kill it. White-tailed deers are extremely easy to dispatch. They are. When you shoot them right, and you understand angles and everything else, if you can ever see the opposite side leg and the deer is, we'll say, you know, broadside like this, I always want to make sure I'm always aiming at that opposite leg. Okay, opposite leg. That's what I'm aiming for. So that means my sight's here. Means I've got all the goodies. Okay, if his leg's back here, I'm entering here because I want all the goodies. Okay. I don't know why people aren't preaching that right now. It's dumbfounded. I'll do my best, but I'm not going to sit here and say that this is a crap broadhead. This is crap and junk, or waste of time and money. It's not very, very worth it in my opinion. Just as much as what these are, or the iron wills for that matter. Same concept. These aren't trash. Schwackers aren't trash. Try and tell that to Levi Morgan that Schwacker broadheads are trash. He'll flat out tell you no, they're not. Grim Reapers have been around forever. If they're such a horrible broadhead, why have they been around for so long? The hate bashing on broadheads and what everybody else uses is to each their own. I'm not going to sit here and tell you, oh, you got to shoot a beast broadhead, or you got to shoot a rage, or you got to do this, you got to do that. I want you to be successful. Okay? Plain and simple. Because if you're successful and you have fun while you're out hunting and you make a good shot and everything, you're more apt to stick it out and continue doing it. As where you sit there and, you know, Mason is a prime example of this. Mason, I worked with him when he first started shooting a bow back in the early 2000s. Only gun hunted. I taught him everything I know. Started bow hunting. Taught him a little regiment that I do to help ease your calming for just before you shoot a deer. And he was batting 100% the first couple of years bow hunting. Absolutely enjoyed it. Had a couple of encounters with big deer, and he made a couple of really iffy shots. Never ended up recovering any of the two big bucks that he ended up hitting, and it got him out of bow hunting. And he started doing a lot more fishing and reflecting and stuff, and then got him back into it, and he was kind of scared to pull the trigger a little bit. And now he's, you know, God, it's been, he'll correct me on this too, but it's been over, successfully killing a deer with his bow that I know of, he is over 10 years. But he's still learning. As bow hunters, we owe it to always continue learning and gather all the information that we can. And I figured what better way than the knowledge that was passed down to me through the people that I hunted with, my dad, his friends, and everybody. to be able to pass it down and be able to continue this so the sport will continue to grow and help out and stuff, and we quit bashing each other. But he's back to doing it though, and he's going through the steps, and yeah, he'll get there. I mean, bow hunting's not for everybody, I get that. But to sit there and call somebody out because they want to shoot an over-the-top expandable or a fixed blade only or one of these, or God forbid they like shooting Rage or a Beast or a Schwacker, how about we just try being polite when somebody's like, hey, I'm shot this deer, I had issues, this is the broadhead I'm using and stuff. Why don't we not take that time to toot our own horn and help somebody out, because reverse the hand there. Let's say you shot the biggest deer of your life and you're asking for all sorts of advice. So you put it out on social media. And then you get your keyboard warriors coming in. Oh, probably shot it with a Beast. Oh, they're junk anyway. Should have used a fixed blade head. Would be dead within 20 yards. Yada, yada, yada. How's that going to make you feel? It's going to make you feel more like shit that you got a keyboard warrior there wanting to throw you down under the bus even more than what you already are, because you feel bad that you put a bad shot on an animal that doesn't deserve it. Yeah, hats off to you assholes. But anyways, I won't do that. I'll sit there and ask, did you hit something? Did you, the adrenaline, what happened? I'd ask them to replay it in their head. I do that with everybody. And I don't talk down to them and be like, oh, well, maybe you shouldn't do that next time, I'm going to sit there and be like, no, I'm going to be the optimistic one and be like, no, we'll find this deer. It doesn't matter. It's got a two-inch holes going through it or better. Yeah, the deer's should be dead, but they're strong-willed animals. They can go a long ways and, they might run off the property. You never know. I mean, so many things can go awry in that. But, the keyboard warriors sitting there wanting to toot their own horn at the expense of somebody else is getting kind of ridiculous. Then I continue to see it. And I know I'm probably not going to make a difference with this video, but I'm going to at least attempt, do something, because numbers are going down. People aren't wanting to get into hunting because of it being expensive. I mean, when you're talking $100 for 3 of these things, or $50, $60 when you get 4 of these, or $45, you get 6 of them, $50, 3, $40 for 3, things start adding up real quick. When you sit there, oh, it's going to cost me $200 in arrows. It's going to cost me another $200 to get 6 broadheads. It's going to cost me so damn much. And I mean, you're looking at going cheap of the cheap with a complete setup, and then you go buy your arrows and everything. You're pushing the $1,000 mark by the time taxes and everything else start rolling in. Yeah, you could probably get by with it for a little bit less with going with the cheaper package and stuff, but you're not going to have the high-end quality stuff, which is fine. You don't need the high-end quality stuff to go out and enjoy the outdoors and shoot deer and kill deer and be successful. So that doesn't matter. But it's a lot more expensive than what it used to be. And there are a few companies out there, thankfully, that are trying to change that. But of course, we can always do better. And why not start with ourselves? And that is, if somebody has a genuine comment on something, let's not be the pricks and sit there and, try and toot our own horn at the expense of somebody else. That's just low. I don't believe in that. and everything else. And I know the world's full of terrible people, but get enough people sitting there, you know, that are on the same page with me and Mason and everybody we associate with, things do tend to change a little bit. Not drastic, but they do change. And I would just like to see that. You know, I would like to see less hate comments about people deer hunting with a rage. Believe it or not, I'm successful 55, 60 pounds shooting a rage broadhead. Was I shooting that deer at 35, 40 yards? Nope. 25, 30. 30 max. Maybe I'll go a little further shooting something like this. Like I said, now you're getting back into the topic of your setup. You know, and the other thing is why are we... You're going to bring it on yourself on this one. For you to bring it on yourself, oh, I took a 60-yard shot on a deer. I had to shoot. Mason will vouch for me. I've got more than Mason that can vouch that I can kill a deer at 60 yards with my bow. I've done it a few times. There's a lot that can go wrong in the time that your arrow is going to fly in that 60-yard increment. Why do we want to give the deer another variable? To be able to not make as good as a shot as what we know that we can do. Why, again, this is going back into my preaching deal of shot placement, shot timing. I'm getting more into the shot timing now. I don't like shooting. I've done it just to say that I've done it, but anymore, 30-35 is going to be about my max, because I want 2 holes in that deer, and I know at 70 pounds shooting this or this, any of these, I'm going to get an entry and exit hole for where I aim because of how I shoot deer. And I haven't lost a deer. I've lost them, but it's been a while since I've lost a deer due to bad shot placement. I can honestly say since I've lived in Janesville, in the Janesville, Waverly, Waterloo area, I haven't lost a deer due to bad shot placement. I've had things happen that have cost me deer, but I haven't lost a deer due to something that wasn't under my control. You know, you can always shoot that deer that spooks and they turn last minute and wham, smack them in the shoulder. It's gonna happen. You know, that's out of your control. You don't know when that deer's next move is gonna be. So that, you know, you can try and anticipate, rush your shot, do this, do that. So many things go through your head. But what I'm saying is put the favor in your hands, or put the odds in your favor, not the deer's favor. So that's why I try to keep my shots 35 yards and in when it comes to whitetails, because there's so much that can happen and so much that can go wrong in that time frame. I had it happen twice in 1 year where I had things go wrong to where deer was calling this and that and everything else, and I lost 2 deer in 1 year. And all due to a last minute decision by a deer. You're like, oh, I'm going to do this, and whoop. It happens. It's going to happen. It's always going to continue to happen. It's just a matter of getting the experience under your belt of knowing and understanding the animal that you're hunting to put the odds in your favor and minimize it and keep you successful. So, like I said, this is a great big huge ramble deal, but I know you've heard me and Mason talk about it in other videos and stuff, but I just wanted to go into detail when it came to the broadheads, because everybody wants to slam everybody for what broadhead they shoot and everything else. God forbid we all, rages are being used. Oh, I should outlaw rages. They're horrible pieces of junk. I think they're great whitetail heads, to be honest with you, but that's my opinion. I'm allowed to have it. Shot placement. That's what we really need to be talking about, is shot placement. And so, like I said, I explained where I like to go and aim, and there's videos here on YouTube that will show you everything. And when you sit there and look at a whitetail deer and stuff, you got to remember 25, 30 feet up in the air. 1 second. You're 25, 30 feet up in the air, and you're aiming here. That arrow's coming out over here because you have an impact coming down like this. It's a pretty steep angle. So yeah, you might hit here. Your arrow ain't coming out there. It's going to be about 3-4 inches lower on the other side. So aim 5 inches higher and come out through the chest cavity on the opposite side instead of coming out the bottom. That's what I do. I don't aim at the lower 1/3 and hope. I aim center mass. When I'm in a tree, I'm center mass because I know my broadhead's not going in like that. My broadhead's going in at an angle. And I've shot deer 10 feet out of a tree and measured entry hole and exit hole. I'm 2 inches lower on exit than entry. Shot one out of a stand that was 22 feet in the air, aimed center mass, measured the exit hole from where it was. It's almost 4 inches difference. So we went from an angle like this to more steeped. You guys that like to be 30 feet in the air, your arrow's coming down at a pretty steep angle. You ain't double lunging a deer at an angle like that at 10 yards. It's not happening. Especially when you're aiming at the lower 1/3 of the deer. Aim higher up and you'll better chance of it. You're gonna be risking that spine though. That's for a whole nother topic later on, and that video will be coming up on Mason's when I explain why I set my stands the height that I do, why I ground hunt more than what I tree stand hunt, because of the angles. I don't know why nobody's not mentioning that. Yeah, I right in the moneymaker pocket, 30 feet up in the air, 10 yard shot, but he ran 250 yards. Look where your exit hole is. It ain't where you entered. And if it is, somehow your arrow went from going from an angle like this to an angle like this, and you hit something. Geometry, my friends. Archery's full of it. Just saying. But I'm done with this rant for now. Let's try and be nice and quit slamming people that want to shoot a rate. Instead of slamming them, just ask them, hey, I'll recommend anybody to shoot whatever they want. You're shooting under 60 pounds or less, in all honesty, fixed is going to be your friend. You're shooting 65 or more, shoot whatever you want and go have fun. Till the next one, guys. I'm out.